All right, Vice President Fielder, can you hear me?
Yes, good morning, Mr. President.
Good morning. Commissioner O'Donnell?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Time is now 9:30 a.m. Today's date is February 6, 2024. This is the time and place for our regularly scheduled business meeting, the PSC. We are here in the Bollinger Room of the Offices of the Public Service Commission. I call this meeting to order. Would my colleagues join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance? All right, thank you, colleagues. I would note for the record that Commissioner Pinocci, myself, and Commissioner Bukacek are present in the Bollinger Room here at the Commission. Vice President Fielder and Commissioner O'Donnell are participating remotely. So we do have quorum this morning. Montana Public Service Commission welcomes public comment on any matter that is on today's agenda or on any matter that is within the jurisdiction of the Montana Public Service Commission. Are there any public commenters in the room? Any public commenters in the room? Seeing none. Do we have any public commenters online? I'm told we do not, so no public comment today. So we will roll right into our announcements. We don't have any changes to our agenda this morning. So action item number 1 is approval of the commission minutes for the week of January 29, 2024. Is there a motion, Commissioner Pinocci?
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the commission minutes for the week of January 29th, 2024.
Is there a second?
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion on the draft minutes, changes, revisions, alterations. Seeing none, all those in favor of Commissioner Pinocci's motion to adopt the commission minutes for the week of January 29, 2024 as the final minutes signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed signify by saying no. Seeing no opposition, motion carries. Minutes are approved. All right, let's move into work session item number 1. This is docket 2023.08.078, Northwestern Energy. This is Northwestern Energy's request for removal of special permit of 49 CFR section 192.481 small a to consider issuing an order on termination of the special permit. Mr. Tierney?
Morning, Mr. President, Commissioners. Before I start per your request, the Commission is hosting a pipeline safety seminar this afternoon, and tomorrow morning at the Great Northern Hotel. So anybody that would be interested is welcome to attend. There's presenters there from PHMSA, from Montana 811. We're just going through a variety of new regulations and different issues for the operators to come in and get updates to what they're doing. So anybody that would be welcome to go to that.
That's open to the public.
Open to public.
And what's the location again?
Great Northern Hotel in the conference room.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, you have the floor.
Good morning, Mr. President, Commissioners. This is docket 2023-08078. This is a request from Northwestern Energy to dismiss a waiver that the Commission had granted to Northwestern Energy back in 2008. The specific docket was 2008-11-133. At that point in time, the regulations required that Northwestern did an atmospheric control survey every 3 years and a leakage survey of their pipe every 5 years. At that point in time, they were moving to AMR meter reading, where they were reading the meters from the trucks. So they didn't physically have a person every month at a meter to do their atmospheric corrosion control. So as a consensus, they came together and said, how about if we move the atmospheric corrosion monitoring out 4 years from 3, and we'll move our leakage survey from 5 years into 4 years. So when the leak survey is being done up to the meter, they could do their atmospheric control. Well, that was in place since 2008. In 2021, March of 2021, PHMSA actually changed the regulation. So now an operator is allowed to do their atmospheric corrosion control monitoring on a 5-year rotation. So it basically makes this waiver a moot point. They don't need it. They can do those on a 5-year rotation, even though they're going to maintain their leakage surveys on a 4-year rotation. There's even some backroom talk right now amongst PHMSA that some of that might move up to 3 years, but this has no effect on Northwestern other than this waiver doesn't really need to be in place. It's just something that'll be sitting on the books. It's not needed. And given that, the staff would recommend that the commission dismiss this waiver. It's no longer valid.
All right, Mr. Poco, anything to offer? Seeing nothing to offer, is our motion? Commissioner Bukacek?
I make a motion to approve the draft order as the final order of the commission, allowing for staff to make non-substantive edits required for clarity.
Is there a second? Commissioner Pinochi?
I'll second.
We have a motion and second discussion. Commissioner
Mr.
Bukacek?
President.
Oh, Vice President Fielder?
Yeah, Mr. President, just a couple questions probably for staff to help me understand this. So from what I can tell from the materials on this, the prior commission special permit that we would be dismissing today, should this order be approved, allowed Northwestern to inspect these certain areas, certain pipelines for atmospheric corrosion every 4 years instead of 3 years. 3 years was the federal requirement. And so our special permit actually relaxed the federal requirements a little bit. That's what the original permit did. Is that correct, Mr. Tierney?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. And now with because the federal requirements have changed to a 5-year time frame, by removing this special permit, Northwestern could move from its 4-year standard to a 5-year standard. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. And this is only applicable, this 5-year window is only applicable to areas that don't tend to be susceptible to atmospheric corrosion. It's not areas at the meter where there's issues of sweating or moisture, any places like that. Those, according to the application from Northwestern, those have different requirements that would require more frequent inspections. Is that correct?
The service lines, the service lines are going to be allowed to be moved to a 3-year, or excuse me, a 5-year rotation. The main lines would still be required to be done on a 3-year rotation, but they have a separate mechanism with their patrolling that they take care of the 3-year. So this would just subjected to service lines that's going in and out of a house or a residence where the meter is set. To that, Commissioner Fielder, I mean, we've been doing this a long time, and I honestly can't say of one time that I've ever really seen an issue with atmospheric corrosion in this environment. It really just doesn't happen. So I think that's been the case everywhere. That's why PHMSA relaxed that regulation, because it's just not, we just don't see a lot of atmospheric type corrosion on meters.
Okay. Thank you for the answer. I'm just trying to understand, because Northwestern's letter to us covered some different timeframes that aren't addressed in this order. So I'm trying to understand the relationship between the timeframes Northwestern laid out for the various types of requirements and what removing this permit does. Is this removing this permit by the draft order today, does that only affect the previously 3-year requirement that now brings it into compliance with the 5-year federal requirement, but it doesn't affect those other dates?
That's correct. And if you look at what Northwestern had put on the letter, like, that's just the code in general, like offshore. We do not have any offshore. So that part would not apply. It only applies to service lines and main lines that are other than a service line.
Okay, thanks a lot. That helps me understand the situation better. I appreciate it.
Additional discussion, Commissioner Bukacek?
So straightforward and very well explained, Mr. Tierney. And so I just wanted to reiterate, Northwestern's Energy's current practices in this matter are consistent with the pipeline safety regulation and the updated code of federal regulation discussed.
Yep.
Correct. Okay. Thank you.
Additional discussion? Additional discussion, questions? Seeing none? All those in favor of Commissioner Bukacek's motion to issue an order and termination of special permit signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed say no. Any abstentions? Seeing none, motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Poco, Mr. Tierney. Well, we have a short business meeting this morning. I'll just make one announcement before we adjourn. Our next commission business meeting will be Tuesday, February 13th, 2024 at 9:30 a.m., the regularly appointed time. Again, I'd remind those that may be listening that PSC is putting on State of Montana Safety Seminar today in Helena, Great Northern Hotel. So public is invited to attend that if they'd like. Seeing no further business to come before us, the time is now 9:41 a.m. I will adjourn today's business meeting.